Hello everyone and welcome back to my series on Nissen fundoplication surgery with hiatal hernia repair. I am posting an update now on the beginning of week 8. If you haven't seen my video on week 1 through 6, please subscribe and like this video, as well as go to my profile and you'll see the other video. I did post only one other video for the complications I had. I wanted to talk about in this video why I actually got the surgery, because I didn't talk about it in my last video. And I also have some good news, so stay tuned for that. First of all, I wanted to mention why I got the surgery. I got the surgery because I found out that I had GERD, the gastroesophageal reflux disease, and it is one of the worst that they've seen, where I had the acid coming up in my esophagus frequently, and I also had trouble where food was getting stuck going down because my esophagus was getting swollen from the acid in my stomach. So I had to have an esophageal dilation, and that helped. But then the acid was actually coming up from my stomach a lot. So it was causing me a lot of discomfort and pain. I was miserable from that. And I went to the fair one time when I had that, and I was eating, but because my esophagus was open, the food would go down, but it wouldn't necessarily stay down. It would get pushed back up from the acid, and often I would have to throw up a lot. So that's why I lean towards getting the surgery, because I really didn't want to go through that anymore, and my pills weren't really helping anymore. I was taking pantoprazole, and I was taking it once a day before, 40 milligrams once a day, and then I had to go to twice a day, 40 milligrams, so once in the morning, once in the evening, just to control my symptoms. But that still did not completely fix my acid reflux issues. And it's most likely because my hiatal hernia was sliding, so it would go up through my diaphragm and then back down again. And when it went up through my diaphragm and it was higher, that's when I had really bad heartburn. No matter what I did, the heartburn wouldn't subside. And then when it would slide back down, then I had my good days. So I thought that it was time to do something about it, and I really wanted to weigh my options, and I found out that the surgery was the best option to do, because it is the longest lasting, and it will actually prevent me from getting the esophageal cancer from taking the pills constantly, because I'm only 30, so I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. So if you're thinking about doing the surgery, at first I would say I wouldn't recommend it, but now now that I'm feeling better, I'm actually leaning more towards recommending people to get it, because it will be worth it in the end. It is a bit of torture, but it is worth going through if you have stomach issues, if you have GERD like I did. So consider that. But week 1 through 6 are the worst. Week 7, I figured out what my overall problem was that I was having. The reason why I was getting so many issues is because I was overeating and I didn't know it. The problem with the surgery is you don't know when you're full. So you tend to eat until you think you're full, but you're actually over full. And I don't know if you've been through this as a kid, like I was, but I actually had times where I would overeat and then I would throw up, and because I ate too much and I didn't learn my lesson, so I kept doing it. And eventually I learned my lesson, but yeah, that's the same kind of thing that happened to me. I went to the Yard House restaurant on a date with my girlfriend, and we had an appetizer, and then I had 3 tacos. And after the third taco, my stomach was so severely bloated that I was in so much pain. I went to the restroom, and of course, I had diarrhea from that. And when it causes distress like that in my stomach, it makes me nauseous and I end up dry heaving. So I was doing that. I was dry heaving and I was having diarrhea, and I just did not feel well. And my stomach had so much air in it, I felt like I had a hard time breathing, and I had to walk around for a while and let the gas pass through. But I was hurting for a long time after that, and I realized that later on I did overeat, and that's why I was experiencing the problems that I had in week 1 through 6, as well as week 7 with that Yard House restaurant. So after that, I talked with my doctor, and they suggested that I go on a more balanced diet. Actually, they suggested that before, but I still wasn't very well balanced, and I was still overeating. So I found out that I eat about uh, a third to half of the food that I normally would before I had my surgery. So I portion it out where I have a third of vegetables and a third of grains and a third of meats. So that way I don't get severely constipated. So that makes it so much better if I limit myself to the amount of food I eat. Because if I don't do that, that's when I have all the problems. So even though I may feel like I'm still hungry, or I still feel like I can eat, I stop myself before the point of no return. And I figured that out, what that was, after some trial and error. So that Yard House restaurant was the final nail in the coffin for me. I had to do something to stop that. So luckily, I figured out the amount of food that I can eat now, and now that I know this, my stomach is a lot better. It does. I do still have a lot of gas, but that's normal because you are not able to burp, and since you're not able to burp, you have to relieve it the other way. And if your girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife don't like that, then that's tough because you have to relieve that pressure somehow. And well, my girlfriend's used to it, so anyway, what else? And now food is actually going down a lot easier than it was. Week 1 through 6 was terrible. I had to have what I call a spittoon, because a lot of the food that I was trying to push down would just get stuck in my esophagus, and I'd end up having to spit it back up, which is really gross, and I didn't like it at all. And of course, it was very uncomfortable, and sometimes the food that was getting stuck prompted the dry heaves, which was not good. It was not fun because it was very painful when the food got stuck. But if your food gets stuck at all in your esophagus, I recommend flushing it down with water as soon as you can. Sometimes it feels like your mouth won't even let you put anything else down because you're essentially feeling like you're choking almost, but you got to force it down. Don't use a straw, just drink it normally, and but kind of chug it like you would chug a beer when you're a kid. And if you do it that way, then it pushes it down and you can feel it release. I had that a little bit earlier when I ate some steak. The steak kind of stuck a bit, so I had to flush it down with water, and I felt it go down, and it relieved the pressure, so that was nice. But you have to kind of flood your esophagus with water, otherwise if you just take a sip, it's just going to stack up until you end up having to spit it out. So just take a flood of water when you get something stuck, and that will help. And it might be a little bit painful, but it's necessary to do unless you want to dry heat for a while until you get it up. So the goal of this video is to tell you that the trick to everything is eating a lot less. No matter how hungry you might feel or how much food you think you can eat, you can't because your stomach has no full meter. So keep that in mind when you're eating after you're off of the liquid diet. Just pace yourself and limit yourself to the amount of food that you eat. I went to a restaurant last night, and I had to be careful how much food I ate, and I ate, like I said, about a third of what I normally would, and my stomach was okay. It was a little gassy for a while, and I did have a little bit of diarrhea. Today is better. I am actually having some normal bowel movements today, which is good. So it'll fluctuate back and forth because your stomach is still learning how to deal with the food in the stomach when it shoots essentially straight to the acid right away that's in your stomach. And yeah, but that's the good news for me. I am feeling much better. I have more energy. I have more hope that I will actually get back to normalcy. So keep your heads up. Everything is going to be okay after the surgery. Just give yourself time to heal and don't push yourself too much too fast. It is tempting to eat the things that you used to eat and eat as much as you used to eat, but don't do it. I learned that lesson the hard way. It looked like it was a small amount of food, but what you consider a small amount of food before is now an extreme amount of food that makes you like the kid again, where you're going to end up throwing up because you ate too much. But that is pretty much it. Week 8 is going great so far. Even though it's the beginning of the week, I feel like it's going to be a good week for me. You probably won't be able to hear my stomach right now, but my stomach is making a lot of noise because a lot of the air bubbles are moving through it. But it's doing well. I'm doing better, and all I ask is that anyone watching this video that knows anyone that's going through this, please share this video. Please like and subscribe. I need some more viewers, so I appreciate your feedback as well. If you have any comments, I will be happy to respond to any comments that you have and any questions that you have. And just hang in there if you did get the surgery, or take my advice with a grain of salt if you are planning on getting the surgery. Just keep in mind that you will have some complications. You will have some issues to go through, but it will be worth it in the end because your heartburn will go away completely, and it's such a relief to not have to breathe fire all the time. Trust me, it's no fun with that acid in your throat. I know all too well about that. Waking up in the middle of the night when I had to essentially drink water because my throat was on fire. In any case, thank you for watching my video. Please watch the other video if you haven't already. And like I said, if you have any questions, I'm here for them. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.